Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Bigakar Ahmed and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be going ahead and reacting to a video by our boy SQ, or Way of Life SQ. He is in the streets going ahead and asking people, should we ban the hijab? And he's basically talking about this during the time of the Olympics. This was a couple months ago, so this video is a little bit older. But he was talking about it during the time of the Olympics because France actually banned the hijab from the Olympic Games. So if you are a Muslim woman who wears a hijab and participates in any of Olympic sports, you are not permitted to wear the hijab in the games. This caused specific athletes to completely drop out of the Olympics altogether. So we're going to go ahead and just check out this video and see what's in store for us. But SQ has an awesome YouTube channel. He does amazing content. He does a really good job getting the word of Islam out in a very basic and easy to understand way. He's very interactive and engaging with his community and with the people that are on the street. And he has really good ideas. So rather than just like sitting in a room like me, or just like giving speeches or lectures, he's an individual that interacts. He plays games, he does social experiments, he travels, and he actually is very interactive with the Muslim Ummah and with the non-Muslim Ummah to bring them closer to Islam. So shout out to SQ, shout out to everything that he does. And I believe SQ is located in New York City as well. So let's go ahead and get into this.
And the hijab, what are your thoughts about that?
I don't care about stuff like that. Bro.
Really? At all? But it's someone's religious garments. You think they should just be banned? Nah. Are you guys familiar with what the hijab is? You ever heard of that?
No.
The hijab, the scarf that Muslim women wear?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're familiar with
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
I've heard of it. I'm not really sure. Is that the head covering?
Yes, it's a scarf that Muslim women wear. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the hijab being banned in the Paris Olympics? I'm sure you've heard of that. Are you familiar?
Yeah, I don't wanna take part. I belong to like a public.
I have any opinion.
Do you know about it?
Not really.
Not really. But as a woman, does that not offend you that women are being stopped from participating because of their religious beliefs?
I don't really think about it much, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't know about it?
No.
She don't care about women's rights. She don't care about a woman in general. She's worried about herself. Bro, this is New York, by the way. I'm just letting you guys know. When you're in cities like New York or Detroit or Chicago, you should expect some very strong responses. And these people aren't necessarily being rude. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. A lot of these people that you see are just kind of like shoving him off or talking to him in a very aggressive or just like straightforward, informative way. They're not rude people. They're just from New York, or they're just from Detroit, or they're just from Chicago. People in major cities like that, they're very like in your face. Like you could be like F you and they don't take it as an F you. Or if you said F you to someone in the South of America or anywhere else in the world, they would take it as an offense. Where like in these cities, everything is just hyper aggressive and people's attitudes are hyper aggressive and they're very on edge and people are on a defense all the time. So their attitudes as well. Just letting you guys know, if you guys aren't from Detroit or you guys aren't from the North or like, New York or a major city like this or Chicago, this is how it's like. This is how people's attitude is. When they're driving, when they're walking, when you ask them a question, when they're ordering food at your restaurant, they act very aggressive, straightforward in your face. So.
Oh, we didn't know about that.
Yeah, so France has banned any woman who's wearing a hijab for playing into the Olympics. I mean, as a female yourself, what are your thoughts about that?
That's crazy.
Why?
I don't know. Why would someone be banned for having to wear a hijab? I don't know. It just seems crazy to me.
I'm not aware of that.
At all?
Oh, I didn't even know that was happening.
In school, we used to get banned from school here in America, in Michigan, in Detroit. We used to get banned from school for wearing pants, jeans with holes cut into the jeans. Like jeans that are ripped, like ripped jeans. We weren't allowed to wear ripped jeans with holes in them because they were inappropriate. And women would find that sexually attractive, or women could not wear them, or women could not wear specific, pants that were really tight. When I was growing up, and I'm 27 years old, so it's very interesting to see how times have changed, that now the kids can just go to school half naked and it's more than okay. And you have 50-year-old teachers, 40-year-old teachers looking at 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-old girls who are dressing half naked to school And if you guys don't think that those men aren't thinking what they're thinking, they are. If you guys don't think that hormonal 14, 15-year-old boys who are going through puberty aren't thinking about sex, you're wrong. And vice versa. So it's very, very important that things like this, when it comes to clothing, that we're not banning people for putting on too much clothing. We're actually banning people for actually wearing too little clothing. You know, like public nudity. Like there should be a specific line where public nudity is public nudity. Like if I go run around the street in my underwear as a man, am I going to get arrested? Yes. If I went and ran down the middle of the street right now in the city I'm in Florida, in my underwear, I would get arrested. And they'd say this is public indecency, public nudity. If a woman went outside in her bikini, walked down the street with a sign that said, I'll clean your car, would she get arrested? No, she would not. Because we live in a sexualized world where it's okay to sexualize yourself for sex. But when you're walking down the street just casually in your underwear, you're not allowed to breathe. Your legs aren't allowed to breathe. That isn't sexy because you're not selling sex. You're not sexy. So you're just a pedophile or you're weird or, you need to be arrested. But the woman who walks around half naked or, in any other scenario, it's okay. But, if you put on too much clothes, we're going to ban you. If you put on too much clothes, you're going to get a ticket. If you put on too much clothes, we're going to kick you out of the country.
You didn't know?
It's not okay.
Yeah.
I knew.
And imagine in sports, like, where having clothes on your body is actually a disadvantage. The more clothes you have on, the more of a disadvantage you are physically because you're moving. It's a physical activity. You're in the Olympics. So imagine them banning a disability. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, the women are already at a disability because they have too much clothes on. They have their hair covered. They're wearing hijabs around their neck in the beating sun. And they're playing a sport versus other people. It's actually interesting that you would ban a disability. Like something that takes them... It's not even like an advantage. It doesn't help them. It actually makes their job harder, and you would ban it. It's so interesting.
Was the thing, and it's not okay that they do that because it doesn't do anything negative. There's nothing negative with it. That's just something they wear. That'd be like banning a shirt.
It should be their choice. Yeah.
That's the obvious
It's exactly like banning a shirt.
thing.
I actually am aware.
Are you? What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's bullshit
Really? Why?
because people should be free to express themselves and within their religious tenets and still participate in the world's greatest stage.
Yeah.
Yes?
And they allow the transsexual to play.
Oh, subhanAllah.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And they're allowing.
So he says they allow the transsexuals to play, but they won't allow a biological woman who wears a headscarf to play. And it's very, very interesting, especially that it's called the Olympics. The Olympics represent the world sports. So you would think that they would be, okay with the world's, the world's different cultures. Like, these people wear headscarves and, these people wear skirts and these people wear, different things. These people wear babushkas. Like people wear different things in different cultures, different countries, different religions. And this is a world sport stage where people from all over the world, from all over, in all different countries, all different religions are going to come play. How can we ban specific clothing or cultural, way of dress? Like, how can we ban a religious clothing? Like, it's crazy to me.
The Israelis to play who are committing a genocide. A'udhu billah.
Ya'uzu billah ma baza.
Subhanallah.
I'm so happy you asked me because I have a lot of thoughts about that.
Tell us, please.
I think it is incredibly oppressive, and in games that are supposed to celebrate every nation, all the nations around the world, it is completely insulting. I think it's an absolute disgrace, and there's no reason because it's not going to hinder their athletic performance. It's not going to make them better performers. I think it's just really a way to discriminate against people of color and people of religions that are Christian.
So why is it that
It's 100% just a message to say F all Muslims. France does not like Islam. France does not like the way, Muslims operate. They don't want Muslims in their country. And this is a statement to that. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's a statement to that, saying you're not allowed to wear hijab in the Olympic Games. Like, there's nothing that is... there's nothing that the hijab is harming in the Olympic Games. Like I said, it makes it a disadvantage to be wearing a hijab in the middle of playing a sport. The last thing you want is your head wrapped while you're playing a sport. But these women do it for God. And it's funny that they don't want them to do it. But this is the French government, this is the French companies, and this is the ideology of the people in power in France. This is what they want. And I also find it very interesting that the woman before this called it oppressive, that the woman was not allowed to wear what she wanted. And I find it very also interesting that most times Islam is talked about in the Western media when it comes to women, that the women are called oppressed. They're oppressed because they have to wear this headscarf. They have to cover their hair, so they're oppressed. Now it's funny to see this Western woman, this American woman, right, going ahead and saying that she's oppressed because they're not letting her wear her headscarf. So the complete opposite. So I hear this story all the time that Muslim women are oppressed because they're forced to wear a headscarf. Now Muslim women are oppressed because they're forced not to wear a headscarf. It's kind of crazy to me how things have flipped within just a couple years.
The Western world, being that this is a Western country, modern country, how can they get away with doing this in front of everyone?
Because the United States are a bunch of f***ing hypocrites. Although that's Paris, they're still part of the West. A bunch of f***ing hypocrites.
Well, they really shouldn't.
It's just Islamophobia. That's just what it is.
Stupid.
It's Islamophobia, and I think that's fair to say, because it's interestingly enough that they've stopped, obviously, women, Muslim women, from wearing this scarf, yet Israel, who's committing a genocide currently right now, haven't been stopped or blocked or banned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny enough, as the ICJ has ruled that Israel is an apartheid state and they're committing genocide, they still haven't been blocked.
Yeah, because I can't remember what other country it was, but it was in the Olympics in the past. There was another country that was an apartheid state, and they were banned from the Olympics.
South Africa.
South Africa. I'm like, it was South Africa. South Africa.
They were banned for almost 4 whole Olympics.
Yeah. So it's dumb that because it's been to create an apartheid state, it's dumb that they are still allowed to compete.
Like you mentioned, there is a discriminatory factor behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no other reason to ban the hijab.
That's crazy you mentioned.
100%. And what he was saying is last time the Olympics took place in South Africa was an apartheid state. They were removed from the Olympics. But now Israel can participate in the Olympics, and they are an apartheid state who are committing war crimes and are actively on the world stage being watched, and they're allowed to compete. But these women who are just wearing a headscarf to cover their hair in modesty because of their belief in their religion, because just in general, modesty, right? This is how people dressed 100+ years ago. All women covered themselves. It was normal. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, clothes were baggy. Clothes covered their butts. No one was wearing leggings. They were wearing baggy jeans. You weren't able to stare a woman's butt and boobs up and down like you can today in today's fashion and things like this. So even the world I grew up in, okay, women did not dress like they dress today. My mother did not dress like that as an American Caucasian woman. My friends and family I went to school with and I grew up with in Detroit, Michigan, no one dressed like that. No matter if they were Christian or Jewish or atheist or Hindu, no one dressed like that. They had respect for their self. They had respect and modesty, and that was regardless of being Muslim or not Muslim or hijab or no hijab. People were just modest. Now people are not modest. People do not care. They say what they want. They talk how they want. Like friends call each other names, and they think it's like normal to call each other bitch and all these things, and like as like a joke, as playing around, you whore, and like I don't get the culture that we've gone to. We've gone to a culture that is acceptant of nudity and derogatory language and drugs and sex and all these different things. And that's not oppressive. That's not oppressing the youth. That's not oppressing me. That's not oppressing, anyone in our society. It's not destroying our relationships. It's not destroying our education. It's not destroying our soul and our faith in God. It's not destroying any of that or our communities. Like when you see how much damage it's actually doing, that's the real oppression. The real oppression isn't restricting yourself from drinking an intoxicant like alcohol, restricting yourself from showing your beauty to every man on the planet like you're a snack. Oppression isn't, praying 5 times a day and submitting yourself to something greater than you, because you're a weak human being that relies on water and food and in love and support and affection to survive. And there's a creator above you that will supply that for you. So these things aren't oppressive. You might find them as weaknesses because you're egotistically driven and you think you can control everything and do everything yourself, but that's not the case. Just because people turn to a higher power or people go ahead and they can control themselves, they're not animalistic like you. They don't have sex with everything they see, or they don't eat everything they see, or they don't do everything that they see. They don't fall into all the temptations that they want or dress the way that they want. And they actually have rules and restrictions for themselves that they follow. And they have respect for themselves. And they have respect for their family. And they have respect for their communities. And they have respect for their creator. Those people are the least amount of oppressed. Those people will die very, very, very happily. They will die non-oppressed. You will die oppressed doing everything opposite. You will have a dysfunctional marriage, dysfunctional kids. You will have a dysfunctional relationship with yourself and your own God. You will have drug problems. You will have, speech problems. The way that you speak will be ill. Everything in your life will be ill if you don't have rules and regulations for yourself. So I love how Paris and the Olympic Games have gone ahead and directed this idea of oppression towards the Muslim women in the Olympic Games, and they're not allowed to wear it because we don't support oppression. We don't support Islam in the way that it oppresses women. But then as you go ahead and speak to American women here in the street of New York City and you ask them about how do you think about the ban of the hijab in the Olympic Games, they go, the ban of the hijab is oppressive, not the hijab. The ban of the hijab is oppressive. Those women want to wear it. They live in France. They're not being forced to wear a hijab. They want to wear a hijab. They want to compete in the Olympic Games with a hijab. They want to play with a disadvantage because that's how strong their moral is. That's how strong they implement rules on themselves. They want that for themselves. They're not oppressed. They're strong people. And I applaud anyone that went ahead and told the Olympics a big F you at the end of the day when it came to this. And I think that people need to understand and see things for what they are. Anyone that sits here wants to complain about a hijab and it's oppressive and it's this and it's that. Well, when your daughter is running around in her underwear at the beach, or your daughter is running around taking images of herself in her underwear and posting them online on Instagram, and 2, 3, 4,000 guys are staring at her, all thinking of her as an object or a snack, we'll see how you feel about oppression. We'll see how you feel about modesty. We'll see how you feel about these things. But until you experience it yourself, I do suggest you just close your mouth and don't speak on it, because you come off as a hateful bigot. Thank you guys so much for coming today. God bless every single one of you. I know this is a little bit of an older topic, but I did see the video. Thought it was interesting to go ahead and get a couple people's takes here. In the United States of America, where I live, Trump just won the election. We're going to go ahead and talk about that a bit more in the upcoming weeks and see where this goes ahead and takes us. And thank you guys so much for coming today. God bless every single one of you. And until next time, peace and love. Free Palestine, free Lebanon, free the Middle East, and free the whole world from this corruption. Bye-bye.